Hello, and welcome to the SMC Career Services Center workshop series. My name is Jenny DeCossin. I'm a career counselor, and today you're learning about how to write a winning resume. And first off, I just want to let you know that we do have a resume guide on our website under the Resume Writing and Cover Letters tab that you can refer back to after completing this workshop. So what is the purpose of a resume? It's to market yourself to employers. It's your way to let them know about your skills and experience. And the point of sending out a resume is to get an interview. But also it helps you boost your confidence. Going through the process of writing your resume and thinking about your skills and experience and what you have to offer as an employee is a good way to boost your confidence. And if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience and you don't really know what you have to offer, I definitely recommend you make an appointment with me or somebody else in the Career Services Center so we can help you by talking through your experience and helping you understand what skills you have. The good news is there's more than one right way to write a resume. So the examples that I'm going to use in this presentation are just one way to do it. And your resume is going to represent you. So you don't have to stick exactly to the examples in this presentation, but this will give you the building blocks to build a good resume. And there are three types of resumes. Basic styles are chronological, which focuses on your work experience, starting with the most recent and working backwards in time. And then there's functional or skills style, and that focuses on the skills that you have or the functions that you've performed in the past, but it does not focus on work history and it de-emphasizes dates. And then the combination style is a little bit of both. It starts with a summary at the top and then gets into the work history. And we also have some templates on our website, and I do recommend that you use these templates if you want to use a template. There are a lot of free templates online, but often they're really easy to use the first time when you create your resume, but when you go back to edit it, it's very tricky. So these templates are really easy to use because they're just documents that have the formatting already in them, and they're really easy to edit within. And you can always also just start with a blank document yourself. Use what you learn in this presentation, and you can do your own formatting. So these are the general sections of a format: heading, summary, skills, education, and experience. And there are definitely other headings that you can use, and I will cover some of that later on in this presentation, but these are the main parts that I'm going to cover in this presentation. And the first one is heading. So the heading definitely starts off with your name, nice and big and bold. You want it to be eye-catching. You want it to be the biggest thing on the page. You should also have a professional email. So that could either be your SMC email or it could be a simple Gmail with your first and last name. You want to have a phone number on there, and you should have a professional voicemail set up. Make sure that your voicemail box is set up, that it's not full, because if you get a call back, you want to make sure that you can get a message, and make sure that your recording of your message sounds professional. You'll also include your city, state, and zip, and your full address is not necessary. And then also LinkedIn. So employers definitely do check LinkedIn. So you want to work on your LinkedIn profile as well as your resume. And we also have a workshop that covers how to do that. Other things that people might have in their heading include a website URL or a portfolio URL. It just depends on the person. The next thing is summary. So a summary is optional. It is a very brief 2 to 3 sentence highlight of a few of your strongest skills that are related to the job you're applying for. And it is sometimes hard to write the summary, so I definitely recommend that you don't try to write it first thing off the top. You want to go through the process of writing your resume and then come back and it'll be clearer what you want to put in your summary. Next, we have the skills section. In this sample, skills are above education, but sometimes people put their skills at the bottom of the resume. It's really up to you. This example has 6 bullets because it's a combo style resume with a professional summary at the top. And so we have computer skills and language skills here, in addition to things like customer service, sales, and some transferable or soft skills. Transferable skills are things like problem solving, leadership, teamwork, and communication. They are skills that aren't specific to one particular job, so they transfer from one job to the next. Every skills section should have at the very least languages if you speak another language and computer skills. The other skills are up to you and they are unique to each person. But a good rule of thumb is to make sure that the skills are relevant to the job you're applying for. Next is the education section. In this section, you can put certificates and degrees that are already completed, but you can also put educational goals that you are currently working on. In the example, you can see that I put the degree that is in the works with the expected graduation date on the right. You don't have to know exactly when you are going to graduate. I mean, of course, we can't predict the future, but you can make a good educated guess about when you're going to complete your goal. And your education plan should give you a pretty good idea of when that will be. And the same format is used when you are working on a certificate. Another option is to say that you are completing requirements for transfer. If you are not planning on getting an associate's degree as part of transferring, although most people can get an associate's degree in the process of transfer, so that's definitely a conversation you should have with an academic counselor to see if you are going to get a degree. But if not, then you can say you are completing requirements for transfer in your major, and then put the expected transfer date on the right. Another possibility would be for nursing majors, if you're completing requirements for or prerequisites to apply to the nursing program, you can say that, completing requirements to apply to a nursing program, and then the date on the right would be the date you expect to apply. In all of these cases, you just use the word expected on the right, and it corresponds to the wording you have used on the left. And also, if you are a recent high school grad, you can put high school in your education section, but you should only have it on there for the first 2 years of college, and you want to use those 2 years to get more experience and build your resume. So you would also put your high school below Santa Monica College, because that's also reverse chronological order. A little bit more about your experience section. Your experience section is going to be in reverse chronological order, like I said, starting with the most recent at the top, working backwards. It should only include the most recent 10 years, which for most of our students, they have less than 10 years of experience, but we do have a wide range of students. So if you have a lot of experience and you're not sure what you should include, definitely make an appointment with a career counselor or someone on the CSC staff to help you work on your resume. You're going to write bullet points for each of your experiences, 3 to 5 bullet points, starting with action verbs that focuses on your accomplishments, relevant skills, and results. So what is experience? Experience does not have to be paid employment. If it highlights relevant skills, then it should be on your resume. For people just starting out, even class projects, volunteering, or babysitting can be experience on your resume. And I'll give you some examples of that as we go. And what goes into a bullet point? You want to start with action verbs, and you want to talk about what you did, how you did it, what skills you used, what technology or special equipment you used, and what were the results. And whenever possible, you want to quantify with numbers. And here's an example of how to write a bullet point. On the left, I've included all of those things that I just talked about that should go into a bullet point, and I've assigned them a color. And on the right, I've written a couple of sample bullet points, and I've used that custom color system to show you what parts I've used in each of these bullet points. And you definitely do not need to put everything in every bullet point. That would be too much. But here are a few examples. So in the first one, it says you greeted, or in answer to what did you do, you greeted customers and took their orders. How did you do it? By entering them into the point of sale system, which is the technology you used. Accuracy and efficiency are transferable skills, and customer satisfaction is the result. And in the second bullet point, I've given some examples of how to quantify with numbers. A little bit more about action verbs. They focus on what you did. and they are the first word in your bullet point. You don't want to start your bullet points with the pronoun I. Bullets are not complete sentences. They may or may not have a period at the end. That's up to you. You just want to be consistent in how you use that. And then you can see on the right an example of some lists of action verbs, and you can just Google action verbs. There are lots of lists out there. There are even some industry-specific action verb lists. So if you don't have a lot of work experience, you can use things like class projects, volunteer or leadership experience, even babysitting experience. And I've given you some examples here of how you would write that on your resume. And just remember that you're trying to make a connection between the skills you have and the skills that they want on the job. So even if you're applying for something like being a barista, you can make that be relevant based on the experience you have. And I'm going to give you an example of that. You want to tailor your resume to a job description. So you're going to look at what specific skills they're looking for and highlight those skills on your resume. So you're going to make that connection for them. So you want to find a job description, and you can do that by just using Indeed.com or HireSMC to find a job you want to apply to. Look at the list of responsibilities and requirements and look for ways to show that you have those skills. So I've kind of highlighted some of the skills that they're looking for. And then I've given an example of how you tailor your resume to that. So in this first example, it talks about maintaining a calm demeanor. And so I've used an experience where you can say you maintained keeping a calm demeanor during busy shifts. And for one thing, that might seem like plagiarism or like you're just copying and pasting, but this is actually what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put keywords from the job description on your resume. And that's because they use something called an applicant tracking system that actually scans for those words they're looking for. So you do want to use some words directly from the job description. And for example, you could say that, say you have experience babysitting. You could say you kept a calm demeanor while watching a 2 and 4-year-old and multitasking. You know, that is still relevant. So whatever your experience is, you're going to adapt that to the skills that they're looking for. Some other possible headings could be related experience, leadership experience, campus involvement, volunteering. All of these things are good to have on your resume. And in this sample on the right, I've given an example of how to use related experience to make your most closely related experience come to the top of your experience section, even if it's not the most recent. So that's one way to use a related experience section to your advantage to make sure that they see the most relevant thing first. And so it's really going to be individual to figure out, you know, what's your best experience, what's the most relevant to the job you're applying for, and everybody can make their resume represent them the best. And I just want to point out that in this example, I have put an objective at the top instead of a summary. And that was just to show that this resume is aimed at getting a sales associate position. But an objective does not have as much good information about you, so it's not the best use of space on your resume, and it's not used as often as a summary. So we do really recommend the summary section. And I just want you to remember the basics, you know, make sure you proofread, check for typos, check for spelling errors, and whatever formatting you choose to use, if you're using bolding or however you're using indentation and spacing, if you decide to use periods or not, whatever you do, keep it consistent. Keep it to one page. So if you're a community college student, most likely you're going to have a one-page resume. Most people are supposed to have a one-page resume. If you have a lot of experience, you can definitely come in and have us take a look at your resume if you think it should be more than one page, and we can let you know what we think. And then always save as a PDF before sending it out. And now some don'ts. So do not include pictures, height, weight, health, date of birth. In the US, we do not put these on resumes. In some countries they do, but not here. And it is actually illegal for an employer to request these details unless you're applying for like an acting or modeling job. And a little bit about job search process. It can feel like a job to be in the job search. If you're applying to a lot of places and you maybe have multiple versions of your resume because you've tailored it to specific job descriptions, you want to keep track of it, and you want to make sure you remember who you sent it out to and what date you sent it out. And especially once you start hearing back and if you get interviews, you really have to stay organized. So Trello is a free tool that we recommend. It's really easy to use, and like I said, it's free and it can help you to keep track. So check it out. And then just lastly, there are sometimes some industries that are looking for specific things on their resume. For example, design fields, film, and accounting. And we do have a few specific career guides on our website, so I encourage you to look at those. But you can also make an appointment with the Career Services Center staff for additional help. So you sent out your resume and you got a call back. Congratulations. Now it's time to work on your interviewing skills. And we have a couple of workshops that go over interviewing and also preparing for a group interview. So we just want to let you know we're here to help. You can always, if you have questions or you want somebody to look over your resume, give us a call or email us and we can set up an appointment to help you out. But for now, you have the tools you need to create a winning resume. Bye.